Hello and welcome back to the Forged Alliance for Retard series. Your host Nibolowski, bringing you a first in the series, a 4v4 Setons and an epic actually. The very first epic has to be over an hour, and let's meet the players. So at the top here, we're going to call these guys up here Team 1, at the bottom here Team 2. Starting with right at the front here, we have a familiar friend, the Corporation, going UEF in a lovely muddy brown colour. At the top here, just playing Coast Navy, we have Banksy going Seraphim, going black, starting off with the Land Factory 2 power generators. The other side of the Navy for Team 1, we have Le Beer Piel. I can only imagine he's either French, Polish, maybe both. Going Seraphim, starting with a air factory going land second, giving up the usual spam of power generators and mass extractors, I'm sure. And right at the back is another familiar face, which is Jig NK going blue UEF, starting off with the usual land factory. Looks like he's got quite a few things queued up already. Going typically first air. I can't imagine you'd ever go first land right at the back. And down at the bottom for Team 2 we have in yellow Fruity Robot going Siren first land, and the usual mesh of the power generators and mass extractors, looking as if he's got his engineer pushing up to the front. In pinky purple, I'm never actually sure which one it is. Zoom in. To me that looks purple, so I'm going to say that's purple. We have Mr. Karamats. Now, for the sake of this game, I'm not going to keep calling him Karamats, I'm just going to keep calling him Kara. And he's gone first land, second air, and has also gone UEF. The other coast naval position, we have Jemaiman, I'm not actually sure how to pronounce the name, so we're just actually going to call him Gia for the sake of me not embarrassing myself. We're going to also have him going UEF white, queuing up his first land factory and air factory. And last but certainly not least, right at the back, going Ferrari red, is Black Sun going Seraphim, coming off first air, giving it the usual mesh of P-gens. So I think if we bring this back up to speed again, okay, +2. The first sort of movement of the game looks like Corporation is starting to move his commander up to the middle, which is surprising for Fruity. He's not really interested in getting that reclaim, which is really important in this stage of the game. Allows you to upgrade your mexes, bring the economy forward far more quickly. Although Corporation score is lingering at the moment with a lack of commander in the base, I can only assume that's going to skyrocket shortly. Getting up a Tech 1 PD and a early scout out from NK as well. That's going to afford Team 1 just a bit of intel, just to know, first of all, what the front guard position is doing, but also as to where the naval positions are. More often than not, what you find is that naval position, you tend to have the Coast Navy here bringing submarines down to this little area here, not realising that actually the Navy's being made in this sort of little harbouring area here. And we do actually have some really early bombers out from Corporation, going straight for the air factory. That's probably not what I would have prioritised. I'm going to bring it back down to just +1. And it looks as if that's a better prioritisation, going for these mass extractors. And getting rid of those mass extractors this early on in the game's just enough to stall an economy for long enough, and it does look, is it going to need another pass? It looks as if he's going to maybe get one of them, but unfortunately not. And the interceptor's just sweeping in a bit late. We do have the first naval unit out in the game. We do have a Sioux Thistle coming out from Banksy. We're not going back up to +3. It does look as if we're having sort of a little task force here, perhaps looking to take back the middle, fight over this all-important mass extractor point here. We are finally seeing as well Beer getting involved in the naval game. It doesn't look as if at this point we are coming up to 6 minutes in the game, neither island actually being taken, which is quite surprising. We are seeing some airplay as well from Gia. And as I suspected, if we look closely, it's actually interesting that Banksy's decided that what he's going to do is he's going to bring his sub all the way into the harbour. And he's like, okay, that's fine. If nothing's there, I'm bringing him all the way back. I don't know whether a single submarine would make much of a difference, but it certainly would be good to try and get rid of some of this build capacity, especially as Kara has decided he's going to go Tech 2 straight away. He's got a cruiser out already and a destroyer. We're looking 7 minutes into the game, which is quite impressive. We also have a number of attack bombers making their way up in the middle from Black Sun. I don't know whether Corporation has seen that yet. He would have seen, yeah, now he's starting to see what's coming in. Is he going to move? I don't know what those bombers are going to be going for. It looks as if that's a huge amount of Tech 1 that's just lost their lives, unfortunately. And with very support from Team 1 at this moment, he's now starting to go for the commander. Corporation sensing the danger, pulling him back, getting some anti-air up, which is quite brave with that amount of Tech 1. Sadly losing an air factory. We do now have some Tech 1 interceptors coming in, and let's back to +1. We do have these Mantis bringing up the middle, sensing that there might be an opportunity to push. Now behind Corporation's front lines there isn't actually a great deal of defence, although a wave of strikers coming out from this line of factories here might be enough to save him with the commander at the front. It does look as if this little force of submarines as well is going to come and counter the cruisers and torpedo boat. You're going to have to bring your strikers around here, Corporation, otherwise you're going to start losing these all important mass extractors. Yeah, he's just realised, he just issued the movement command to up here, but it does maybe look as if he's going to lose that Tech 2 mass extractor, which would be a huge irritation, especially this early on in the game. Is it enough? Is he going to be able to... Oh, Fruity not quite having enough to claim it. It looks as if there's a lot of naval activity here in the top pond, but so far in the bottom we only have a single factory down here from Gia, which is quite a contrast to the sheer amount of factories coming out from Le Beer. Or is it LC Beer? The problem is with me, I do play on a television, so the resolution is not actually that sharp. I think it's actually LC Beer PL. But a huge amount of naval factories, but not actually producing anything at all. And we are actually now seeing at 11.5 minutes the first ASFs coming out from Team 1. So it looks as if what NK's decided to do is actually forget interceptors, forget the Januses. He's going to go straight in for ASFs instead. So it's still got the skirmishes happening in the middle here, and again these governors pushing up. It does look as if Banksy really needs to start pitting Kara inside of his base, otherwise it looks as if the middle here is going to come under quite a lot of threat from that cruiser fire. We also see Red getting involved in a naval game actually here at the bottom, probably sensing that his teammate's probably not done enough in terms of that support. I'm going to bring it back up to +3. finally this naval force here being brought down. It looks as if those governors are being retreated away from the threat. Of course, Seraphim and the UEF Navy both sharing some of the better units. I maintain that Seraphim's probably got the edge, especially with the Tech 3 sub-hunters. We are seeing some interceptors being pushed up, probably looking like a scout over his opposite. Finding ourselves in a bit of a low period in the game. It looks as if NK bringing out some stingers as well. And what is at the front line from Fruity? We see our first experimental at 14 minutes in the game of a Monkey Lord coming in. And has the team seen the threat? I don't know whether they have at the moment. Of course, the Monkey Lord being able to benefit from their stealth ability. I don't know whether that Wasp has been able to see it as it's passed. It looks as if it has been pinged, and because if Team 1, I mean, we have a lot of pillars and mongoose covered by quite copious amounts of shielding, but Monkey Lord's not going to be able to be stopped with that kind of a force. You're going to need at least a blend of Tech 2 and Tech 3. Some stingers being brought in, but prematurely it does look as if there is some anti-air, some bangers in the mix, and that Monkey Lord is going forward. Corporation shifting his front line backwards. Banksy offering a small amount of support, another wave of stingers being brought in. And that Monkey Lord now opening up. It does look as if he's under quite a bit of pressure, but is it going to be enough? It does look as if it is. With some destroyers as well. I'm afraid a Monkey can't survive a 3-on-1 battle. Down it goes. And unfortunately, with not a great deal of support in the ocean either side for Fruity Robot, it doesn't really look as if he's going to be able to push another Monkey Lord up to the middle. In terms of production at the moment, that's an incredible amount of stingers again coming off from NK. And as it stands, it doesn't actually look as if Black Sun at the moment looks as if he's upgrading all of his factories simultaneously, but no sign of ASFs. But it does look as if a bit of a switch of priorities here from Gia, actually making his own ASFs, and we're finally seeing a naval battle in the North Pond. But actually with pretty poor prioritization from Banksy. Should have kept the cruisers behind rather than in front. Some torp bombers as well from the air. That's why it's all important to keep these cruisers at the back to sort of tear apart these torpedo bombers. And finally also seeing just a stream of stingers coming in from NK, and it does look as if he's pushing those stingers in ill-advisedly together with that amount of flak. They're going to drop out of the sky. NK, that's not brilliant. Going for Fruity, but losing way too many stingers on the way in to even make a dent. Has that actually done anything to Fruity? No, it hasn't. Still producing quite a number of stingers. NK does seem as if he's managed to find dominance in the air. Maybe going for an earlier snipe on one of the front players. And still, I'm not really sure. I think, oh, Beer is doing a simultaneous. How many factories have we got here? That's incredible, though. Didn't tell me how many factories. It's unfortunate. It's the difference between a FAF player and not. And we are seeing another experimental being pinged. But 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 factories. all producing cruisers. And we are seeing a megalith at the moment out from Fruity, slowly dragging up to the north. Also seeing Kara getting involved in the ASF game as well. Looks as if the Stingers are going to have another pop, this time Gia. Less of them being taken out on the way in, but with that shield holding and another one being put up, it's not going to make much of a difference. And it looks as if NK has just switched back up to this stream of ASF production. Just a ludicrous amount of kennels and got a neat looking base. It's literally nothing but ASF production. And I think, sensing that probably there's nothing much in the pond, Black Sun deciding that he's going to push up. He doesn't actually see anything on the radar. I don't know whether he's got a Tech 3 sonar up yet, but it does look as if he's wanting to knock beer out of the pond. Actually, there's a very good chance he could do, as those cruisers are all going to come off at the same time very shortly, but he actually doesn't have anything to counter those subs. So actually I'm going to have to go to split screen here as to what's going to go on here and here with the megalith. And the megalith sitting pretty at the front, taking out, looking for an assistance signal, probably put down by Corporation. And those subs are starting to rip apart those factories. Cruisers, of course, have absolutely no real defense against submarines, no matter what tech level. Corporation looks like he's control K'd that force at the front. Interestingly, Fruity deciding that he's not going to push it up. We do have Banksy again giving Corporation some support in the form of a few gunships, battleships and destroyers. And it does look as if NK's seen the problem in losing the bottom pond. He sent some torpedo bombers to get rid of these attack submarines, so it does look as if that problem's been thwarted. But we're going back to the main effort at the front. The thing is, with that megalith, it's got an incredible amount of hit points. We're talking about 111,000 hit points, which is going to take quite an amount of time to melt away. I don't know whether those battleships are going to make contact. Luckily they are, which is stripping away those hit points, coming down to half. But that amount of hesitation by Fruity at the front should really be pushing up more Tech 2 and support, taking out these factories at the front here. ASF's coming into contact as well above this middle land bridge. NK deciding that he's going to shove all of these saving torpedo bombers down to the little naval production down here by Black Sun. But that megalith may make a bit of a dent. Corporation does have some personals coming out now. That's not a great time to retreat. Oh dear, Fruity, no. You could at least get rid of a few of these Tech 3 land factories, which are going to be pumping out personals. I think he's resigned himself to the fact that that megalith has gone down. There's a huge masket right on the front of Corporation's base. It doesn't look as if Kara's really being able to push out. Whether or not he's actually looking to push out, I mean, Kara at the moment...
Strategic launch detected.
As I say it, that's what he's prioritised. The very first nuke of the game has been pushed out, and sadly, I'm not particularly sure where that's going to be going. We do have also a Fat Boy out from Corporation, and judging by that trajectory, it's probably going to be going for this front. Is there any... I doubt there is, and there's no nuke defense, so that is looking as if it's going to dip, and all of that production is going to go. Oh my goodness, that's a huge gap in the defense. Only one land factory surviving. Banksy's still not pushing up on this navy at all. Should he be able to take this navy, which I think is going to be really difficult, especially with a few Battleship's torpedo defense. It's going to be very difficult. And we are seeing finally Beer getting involved in the naval game and laying on an incredible amount of cruiser fire. Problem is, with the cruisers, he's got too much overkill, so it's going to take him quite a lot of time, especially with governors targeting his cruisers as well. And Beer disconnecting. Absolutely no idea why. Can only guess it's probably something to do with connectivity issues. So Team 1 now down to 3 players, which is going to be quite a significant problem, as I believe Gia has amassed quite a number of cruisers down here at the bottom, which is going to be, especially with that nuke thinning out Corporation's front lines, a pretty big issue. And
strategic
also
launch detected.
Fruity getting involved in the air game, and a second nuke. Where's that coming from? That's coming from one of the battleships that Banksy has. Is that going to make a difference? I don't know whether it is. Note there's the nuke defense coming from the center. Actually, where is the nuke defense? There it is. I'm literally hovering my mouse on top of it. An experimental bomber as well. I just missed that coming in, probably from the north here, but it's no difference whatsoever. Oh goodness me, a very dry throat this morning. Only really taking down a Tech 1 air factory down to half health, and Corporation just unrelenting pressure here. Another megalith from Fruity, and with now the naval threat hasn't been pushed up yet. There's no move command from them, but sooner rather than later, it looks as if NK's bringing down some build capacity to sort out a navy down here, but it's going to be pretty much too little too late. This megalith being stripped down very, very slowly of its hit points, but that is, where is that targeted to go? That's going to start hitting the Corporation's main base, and NK offering what support he can in the form of his ASFs. It's not going to really make much of a difference against the megalith, but it's always nice to try and thin out the numbers in the air. And his second megalith, Fruity, now just producing these incredibly quickly. In the economy, he must be supporting. Yeah, absolutely. Plus 500 mass.
Strategic launch detected.
30,000 power. And where is that nuke coming from? That's coming all the way from the back. That's coming from NK's base. I'm not sure where that's going to be going. It does look as if a combination of support command units and broadswords took down that megalith at the front. Some broadswords being streamed out now, seeing the threat of experimentals coming forward. And that nuke is going for Fruity, and that front base is going to perish in the nuclear blast.
Strategic launch detected.
It looks as if Kara is wanting to immediately retaliate, sort of like as if the Cold War just became hot. And those cruisers, as predicted, have pushed up to the middle, which is going to cause so much trouble. That nuclear warhead heading for Banksy, and this Banksy, he does have a strategic missile defense, but does it have anything inside of it? Where is it gone? No, it doesn't. Oh, Banksy, that's a huge hole inside of your naval capacity, just not quick enough in getting that nuke defense up. And NK just swarming ASFs into cruiser anti-air fire. Has he moved the waypoint? No, he hasn't. Looks as if he's made the correction now. But those cruisers from Gia are going to cause no end of problems. It looks as if Corporation is getting some buzzkills up, but they're not exactly the best anti-missile. He does asking for assistance now on the Athota at the front of his base, all the way from Black Sun. That looks as if a 4v3 is
Strategic
not
launch
benefiting Team
detected.
1. We're sort of seeing finally the naval incursion on the left here. I'm going to track where that nuke is going from NK. Looks as if Banksy's having to retreat his navy, despite the fact that he does have his Tech 3 sub-hunters in the mix. Oh, and that nuke going for the cruisers, perceiving that amount of cruiser fire is not going to be repelled by a small amount of buzz kills. And if we go back to single screen, it does look as if as well a 3-man effort from ASF, so it does only look like NK is getting involved in the ASF game. These broadswords being chased back into Corporation's base. And as it stands at the moment, it does look as if Team 2 are in a far better position than Team 1, especially with Banksy having lost all of that naval capacity, which means that both ponds have been taken. I mean, NK down here trying to put together some factories, which I'm not entirely sure whether Gia has been seen. I know he hasn't seen them. Interestingly, these ASFs not wanting to engage, but NK deciding that he's going to take the initiative and engage them himself. Probably not seeing any threat from the cruisers up here anymore. Wiping out Fruity's ASF force, and Kara now wanting to get involved in the air game himself, pushing his ASFs up to protect the navy from the front here. And yet another megalith, which I'm not entirely sure where that is very prioritised to go. That's just sitting there taking the punishment from all of these broadswords. If he'd been facing forward, at the least he'd be able to... There we go, I think Fruity's just seen it. He's got a second megalith at the front. I'm not sure where the Corporation's going to be able to hold. We do have an experimental bomber coming out. I'll go back to normal speed from the top here. And barely scratching the megalith. NK bringing his air units over to protect the experimental bomber. But that megalith is absolutely hammering at the shields. Oh my goodness me. A Corporation. Just absolutely unrelenting pressure from Fruity, as well as Black Sun, who's actually yet to step it. I don't think Black Sun's actually got any ASFs. There's an assist signal there. Black Sun, I'm not really sure what on. We go back to the front here. And Megalith now coming down to the last 10,000 hit points it has. But very little support commander going pop at the front. It's got very little. Oh my goodness, that is... Whew, that is incredibly close to Team 1. And another air engagement, which it does look as if NK has just about enough numbers to Karamats. Oh my goodness, and the lack of micro there does mean that Team 2 are going to lose their air force again. It's probably the only thing Team 1 have at the moment is an air force. Another nuke coming out, I'm not really sure where from. Oh, 2 nukes coming out.
Strategic launch detected.
Another one from NK.
Strategic launch detected.
And another one. So we have 4 nuclear weapons.
Strategic launch detected.
I stand corrected. 5 nuclear weapons flying across the map. Now I can't zoom into the front here. It looks as if these broadswords are going to be taking down this megalith, but I don't know where these nuclear weapons are going to be heading. These 2 from Black Sun being counted, and the 2 from Banksy have been counted as well. I'm not entirely sure where NK has disappeared to.
Strategic launch detected.
But it shouldn't matter because we have yet another nuke coming out. Away from Kara. Retract. That looks as if it's going for Corporation again, so only is Corporation having to deal with a blend of Yathota's bricks, megaliths, and soon to be naval from Karamat and from Gia. He's now having to defend himself from a stream of nuclear weapons. Oh dear, NK nearly landing his broadswords in the centre of that iron storm. And the rest of these broadswords clearing up the bricks at the front. Bringing it back up to +2 again. I'm not too sure at the moment. If we just do bring it back down to 0, a base check as to what each member has. We go back up to Team 1 in terms of Corporation. Huge amount of anti-air. I'm struggling to see actually. He's got his strategic missile defense. He's got 2 in the clip there, 3 in the clip there. He's got 1 on the back, another 3 in the clip. So it looks like Corporation's seeing a threat. An assist ping going down on these torpedo bombers. NK bringing his air up. We change over to Banksy. Banksy in his having 2 anti-nuke defences. Not really a great deal, doesn't it? It looks as if Banksy's got his base and that is it. That's what he's sticking with. So it doesn't look as if he's looking for expansion. He's bringing all of his naval capacity over to produce sub-hunters over here. If we go back to NK's base, and we do have a Mavor being produced at the back, ceasing ASF production, which in and itself is probably quite a risky maneuver given how long one of these things takes. I mean, it's got to be ripping NK's economy apart. It is minus 8,000, 7,000 mass, with the sheer amount of drones, 180 drones building it. It's going to take some time to bring that megalith up to scratch. If we actually slip over to Team 2, Fruity only managing to go under minus 330 with quite a number of nuke defences. He's got a Guardian at the front here. Doesn't actually have anything inside of it, but followed behind he's got 1 in the clip for this one, 3 in the clip for this one, and I'm fairly sure I spotted earlier as well, he's got 1 at the back here somewhere. Am I just going blind? Yes, he does. He has 3 in the clip. That one there as well. So it looks as if Fruity's well supported. Some spy planes coming out here from Corporation, probably looking as if to see where Gia's commander is, which incidentally I think he's about
Strategic
there,
launch detected.
right by a power plant. Another nuclear weapon coming out from Karamat. So we look at what he has in terms of his base. His naval capacity is quite strong. I don't think Kara's really looking to get that involved in a naval game, apart from just stopping people from coming into his harbour. And that does look as if that's going for Banksy instead. Don't think it's going to get particularly far with the nuclear defence. I don't know what the radius is for that nuke defence, but I think it should be just about enough. So no, maybe it's not. Is that? Oh my goodness! Is that going to get it? Oh my god! The man on the button a bit too late there. Very close. A huge amount of ASF coverage from Team 2 now. A huge amount of ASF. So we come back to bases again. Looks as if Gia with the Navy pretty much sussed. He's now producing experimental bombers of his own with borrowed tech. A few support commanders, and at the back here, what do we have? And an experimental missile launcher is what Black Sun is deciding that he's going to filter all of his efforts into. Interestingly, the ASF's deciding that they're not going to get involved. Probably not seeing the advantage. I mean, NK's ASF at the moment holding fast at 125 with 40 out of fuel, so 125 is pretty much where he stands. 107 from Karamat's, and 85 from Fruity, and Gia producing 31, so it's pretty imbalanced, the ASF game at the moment. And we do have a couple of Monkey Lords at the front here without any of the air cover that they need. I do hear an experimental bomber going off somewhere, I don't actually know where. I have absolutely no idea, but with absolute no air support, which is really surprising from Team 2, having outnumbered NK so significantly because of that Mavor at the rear, which is actually nearly finished. Those broadswords managing to defend quite well against the Fruity experimental spam. And that experimental bomber's going for this naval capacity over here, and it does look as if he's going to get one of the bombs off, and that's a huge hole again in this Pond's navy. It doesn't look as if Team 1's going to be able to scramble back into the naval game. And that experimental bomber is going to survive. Has NK seen it after it went off map? Does he see where it's gone? He can see it, but he's not pursuing. That's a massive sign of relief. An assistance ping going down for... I'm not sure what that's for. Might just be scouting, I'm not entirely sure what it's going to be for. And I think, actually I know what it's for. It's going to be for that Mavor's targeting. And what is its destination, that Mavor? What has NK decided that it's going to do? It looks as if, no, those pings weren't for that, and that Mavor was just targeting the commander at the front there of Gia. And the first artillery shells landing. Oh my goodness, right by that Tech 3 power plant. Gia seeing the threat and moving his commander probably nearly into the path of another Mavor shot. And with the inaccuracy of the Mavor, you just don't know when the next shot is going to land. Luckily hitting the T3 reactor at the back there, taking him down to less than 5,000 hit points. Gia getting away very, very luckily.
Strategic
there.
launch detected. Strategic launch detected. Strategic launch detected.
And a triple nuke out from these battleships from Banksy.
Strategic launch detected.
And a retaliation nuke there from Black Sun. But 1, 2, and 3 anti-nukes are going to sort that problem out pretty quickly. And it looks as if there's an assistance being put on as they cloak on this Megalith and Monkey. And I'm going to bring this back to normal speed, and a huge air engagement over Corporation's base. Nuke flying in against Corporation again. And with no help, but finally it does look as if Karamat is sensing an opportunity here. And NK and Fruity fighting their ASF battle. NK looking as if he's trying to drag the ASFs over the pond away from the bangers. Karamat's allowing Fruity's air force to diminish quickly, no assistance. And those ASFs just deciding that they're going to land. The NK quickly disposing of the threat, bringing these broadswords in from Corporation. Lazy, lazy, lazy from Team 2.
Strategic launch detected.
And that spider going down quickly, as well as this bug being brought into the middle of NK's ASF force. That's just going to go down so quickly. Would have been so much more productive to have sent it up here against the naval force of this capacity, but not to the middle. And those broadswords quickly dispatching of the Megalith as well. We've got 2 nukes, my goodness, maybe let's slow this down a bit. 2 nukes coming in again to Corporation. I don't know whether he has enough after the sheer onslaught that he's had. But that Soul Ripper not being finished off. Luckily, those broadswords have enough anti-air capacity with the aid of some SAMs to get rid of it. But it looks as if NK's just about survived the air incursion, but with very depleted forces. These cruisers now making it harder for him to push into the middle, bringing back up to normal speed. That Mavor, I don't know where that's being reprioritized to. Looks as if it's being maybe prioritized. There's no nuke in this yet, but that is a game-ending weapon. Having 2 anti-nukes to produce it with enough assistance can probably prop one up in less than a minute. I do not know whether Team 1 have sensed the threat and the danger yet. And it looks as if Kara is slowly pushing his forces forward. A nuke out from one of Banksy's battleships. And the Air Force again, not enough. Maybe Team 2 sensing that they don't have enough air capacity. A huge explosion over here. Not really sure what from. I can't really see an experimental bomber on the field. And is NK going to pay the price of putting that Mavor up? The Bang is being brought up. The Cruise is being brought up. Kara not pushing in, NK withdrawing his ASF force, Corporation hanging in there, a ping being brought down on Corporation's anti-nuke defense, a support commander going ping somewhere, and the Navy now from Karamat's being brought up, and with very little
strategic launch detected.
Dwindling forces for Banksy. I can't even track where these nuclear weapons are coming from anymore. We have one out from Karamat. Fruity Robots Commander a long way back here.
Strategic launch detected.
And just nukes flying from everywhere. That doesn't look like it's a special nuke. Special nuke. A experimental nuke, I should say, rather. And finally, the naval battle on the North Pond is
strategic launch detected.
It does look as if the battleships and the Tech 3 subhunters are going to hold their own against the sort of mesh of cruisers, destroyers, and shield boats. Battleships hailing down. It is not really that squad there, though, that is going to be the problem. It's going to be these 2 Atlantises. Another nuke flying out. It is honestly like nuclear World War III mayhem.
Strategic launch detected.
Corporation. And that Mavor landing, interestingly, Gia not able to escape the Mavor's grasp. And still, I don't think Gia's realised that it's not a great idea to have your commander by a Tech 3 power station, especially with a Mavor firing down on it. And this naval battle at the moment, Banksy admirably holding on as best he can. And what has happened down here? Oh, the nuclear weapon from NK managing to connect to Gia's base, and that is a huge blow to Team 2. Although that's not taking him out of the game, it's a support commander. That shame I missed that. That nuclear weapon eradicating a lot of build capacity, and the Mavor as well.
Strategic launch detected.
Gia coming back, a huge chain reaction. That Mavor constantly hitting Kara's base. He's trying to knock up some shielding as quickly as he can. Gia thinking, you know what, I've had enough. I've just lost my base. And I am retreating backwards.
Strategic launch
oh,
detected.
huge chain reaction on the mass storage. And there's way too much to track here, so I'm going to have to go to split screen again with this incursion at the front and this naval battle up here. And that megalith now with the cruiser fire corporation under a huge amount of fire. It may look as if corporation might be going out. And if I have a look, where's that nuclear weapon going for? Oh my goodness, Banksy. Oh, a huge blow for Banksy there. And a nuclear weapon hitting this force at the front. I'm going to have to go back to single screen again.
Strategic launch detected.
And I can't keep up to track with all of these weapons. NK sending another nuke out. This Air Force protecting these cruisers, but with that amount of cruiser fire, it does look as if half those cruiser missiles are going for that nuke defense. And with Banksy's naval force severely depleted, it doesn't look as if he's going to be able to offer but that nuke. I think from NK's going in for that navy. Danger close. Getting rid of a huge amount of cruisers to help out his teammate. And another megalith falling. It isn't any wonder that Team 2 haven't broken through this defense. From Corporation, there's not really much at the front in terms of PD. Just hanging on by the skin of his teeth at the moment. Just another Monkey Lord being pushed up from Fruity. Fruity's been pretty
Strategic launch detected.
Especially with Team 1 losing a naval player. And it does seem as if G is pretty much, apart from his production down here of broadswords, pretty much out of the game. And we do have yet another megalith being pushed up to the base, and a huge nuclear explosion. That is a experimental nuclear explosion. What does Banksy have that I have not spotted? Yes, he does. He has his own experimental missile launcher, which he's using to nuke the front line, saving Corporation from a megalith and a selection of bricks. It does look as if NK's got himself back in the air game again. Got himself a 248 ASFs. Team 2 not really wanting to take advantage of the gap in the action. We go to the very back here. Do we have that experimental missile launcher? He's storing them up, waiting for the opportunity, I believe, to get those anti-nukes down, but probably be far better to send them trying to thin out some of the mexes up here, or even sort of this area down here.
Strategic launch detected.
Banksy's naval forces are
strategic launch
hanging
detected
in there as best you can. We've got 2 nukes out. That's an experimental nuke. Don't know where that's going to be heading for.
Strategic launch detected.
Looks as if this one is going down south with another nuclear weapon here. Don't know whether that's going to be going for Fruity Robot. And there's 3 nukes heading all over the place. That nuke, one of them is heading for Fruity Robot's front lines, thinning out that area. Anti-nuke taking care of the second one. And the first nuke to come out. Is there any anti-nuke down here? It doesn't look as if there is. And that nuke is going to polish off the remainder of Gia's forces. Boom, and there it goes, and that is Tech 3 mexes, and a well-placed nuke's got rid of all of that capacity. And there's just a flood of bangers and bricks. Experimentals coming forward from Fruity. Not forgetting that we still have this Mayville firing down on Kara's base. No artillery retaliation from any player, and a Soothsayer going pop at the front.
Strategic launch detected.
Does look as if that is going for the nuke defense at the front of Kara's base. Bring it back up to +1 again.
Strategic launch detected.
And you got 2 nukes out from Banksy. I honestly don't know how the corporation's held his own. It looks like these nukes are just about keeping him in the game at the moment. And a huge explosion from the anti-nuke. But it does look as if that Mavor fire is becoming more and more frequent. Down on Kara's base. I'm not really sure what he's going to do, and that is a
Strategic
huge
launch
blow
detected.
at the front of his base. I'm pretty sure there was an anti-nuke around there somewhere, and a ping going down on one of his
Strategic launch
factories,
detected.
and we slow it back down to just +1. These torp bombers looking to finish off what's left of Banksy's base. Seems to be a bit of a gap now in terms of production. NK at the back here, what is he? As a second Mavor, which is 2/3 finished. And another nuke, is that going to connect us to the front nuke? Yes it is. And incredible, absolutely amazing animation for the nuke from Seraphim, the experimental nuke. And it does look as if, although Fruity's trying to help the naval incursion push up, that Mavor poking holes in Kara's base, and with a second one it doesn't look as if they're going to be able to sustain shield coverage. Another one hitting that shield. A scouting mission at the front here. It looks like for Menki probably to get coverage for that Mavor. Gia back up to a much more healthy looking 16,500 hit points, but a ping actually going down on Gia, as I say.
Strategic launch detected.
Don't know whether that was for the nuke or for the Mavor,
Strategic launch detected.
but it would appear seemingly that Fruity, unable to push forward into Corporation's base, advisably probably would have been best to save up experimentals and wait and push in together. Would have been far more advisable rather than this trickle of bricks. And just so many anti-nukes being produced. That Mavor lingering those shots over Gia again. Unfortunately, the casualty of quite a few nuclear weapons in the south. Seems to be a bit of a stall here on... I'm not too sure what I've missed there, but it looks like some sort of experimental's gone down, or a support commander. And those shields are beginning to dwindle, especially with the
Strategic launch detected.
regularity of those shots. And my apologies for focusing on just one particular area, but that second Mavor does look as if it has been completed, and I don't know whether those shields are going to be able to sustain. He does have the personal shield on his commander, but a couple of those shots, and that does hit the back, as G has seen the problem. And the shield's getting absolutely hammered by
Strategic
the
launch
shots of
detected.
2 Mavors. And that shield going down, the commander sensing that he's being chased down by the sort of mini... Oh my goodness, the nuke connects! And that is Gia out of the game! A small blast from a Mavor, and that is a massive explosion to have right in the middle of your base. And it does look as if they have evened the odds.
Strategic launch. Strategic launch detected.
Tried to speak over the launch threat, but it looks like Team 1 finally evening the odds. Banksy bringing himself back into the naval game again. And that Mavor, and oh my goodness, 5 nuclear weapons taken out of Corporation's base. And that looks as if it was an absolutely huge effort to try and take down this front line, which is basically what has kept Team 1 in the game so far. Corporation just hanging in there. The sort of mesh of broadswords and anti-nuke defense and nuclear weapons. And we do have some strat bombers coming out from Fruity. I'm not actually sure where those are going to be going. Coming up to the 55-minute mark at the moment. And have Team 1 seen the threat? Where is Corporation's commander? He's at the back here. It doesn't look as if he's going to... What is that strategic bomb going to be going for?
Strategic launch detected.
Only one connecting with a power plant at the back here. Chain reaction would have been enough probably to kill off Corporation, but unfortunately not enough.
Strategic launch detected.
Strategic bombers.
Strategic launch detected.
And another wave
Strategic launch detected.
of nukes, and these nukes here, those are, hang on, are those experimental nukes? They are. The Mayville looking as if it's been prioritized to the back. And that is in total 2, 4, 5, 6, 7 nuclear weapons heading for Corporation's base. Has he got enough? Surely he hasn't got enough nuke defense to swat 7 nuclear weapons out. I'll have to slow this down to -2 to watch these nuclear weapons. Surely one of them's going to connect. That is 2 anti-nukes for the experimental at the front. Another 2 for the next one, and 1, 2, 3. Fair play to Corporation. Another experimental nuclear blast happening here. Another one happening down here. I can't keep track of all of these nukes flying all over the place. And the Mayville shots having severely thinned out Black Sun's base at the back here. It's looking to get some more missiles, but a casualty of that being is 2 experimental missile launches because of that Mayville.
Strategic launch detected.
And the re-prioritization of these 2 Mayvilles at the back, I'm not really sure where they're heading for. It's still looking as if they want to try and kill off Black Sun's base. But we do have another experimental missile launcher out from Black Sun.
Strategic launch detected.
Bring this back up to normal speed again. Fruity deciding that he's going to send his nuke up north. I'm not really sure what he's looking to connect. Is he looking to probably
strategic launch detected? Strategic launch detected. Strategic launch. Strategic launch detected.
It is going to thin out those ASFs of NK's triple nuke. I don't know whether is Banksy going to have enough. I got triple nuke heading for Corporation. It looks as if he's about to defend that.
Strategic launch detected.
But Banksy's commander being underneath his naval factory, and it's not going to be enough. And that is Banksy ejected out of the game with a triple nuke to the face. And we are back to 3 versus 2 again. Oh, Banksy, that is unfortunate. God, the scorched earth around it. Banksy being ejected just before the hour mark. With another nuclear weapon heading, streaming towards all of this naval capacity, just not wanting to let Team 1 in the Navy game at all. A triple anti-nuke there as well. So Corporation just sitting pretty with the amount of anti-nuke that he has. Those Mayvilles in NK's base, got 2 still there. Back producing ASFs as well. He's got how many factories? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 factories producing ASFs, keeping them in the air game. And those Mayvilles wreaking
strategic
havoc
launch detected
at the bottom here in Black Sun's base, severely depleting him of energy and mass, it would seem. And we are seeing a couple of crabs, some megaliths being produced and pushed up.
Strategic
Team
launch detected.
2 probably sensing we have another nuclear missile heading for those ASFs. Has NK seen it this time? Yes, he has. Only maybe damaging a few on the tail end. So the strategic bombers, I think, were probably going up north to come around the edge of the map, being sent back because these ASFs at the top here. Having a small ASF battle here as well. And a quad nuke this time, going for Corporation Space. 2, 3, 4.
Strategic launch detected.
Defending from it. My ears are absolutely pounding from the amount of strategic missiles being produced. Another experimental one going for, let's see if I follow and trace it up. Probably going for the ASFs. I'm not sure whether they were or not. It's not going to bow down into Corporation Space. It's probably going to land somewhere over here in anticipation of where the ASFs were. And a experimental bomber being produced from Black Sun. Without control in the air, it's not going to make too much of a difference. A scouting party being brought over by NK as well. And these Mavor shots hitting the heart of Fruity's base now. I stand corrected. No, they're still hitting Black Sun's base, trying to take out some of his anti-air. I'm not really sure why. A Mavor's probably got a mind of its own. And finally these megaliths being pushed up together, which is going to make far more of an impression. The broadswords, I don't know whether they've seen the threat. Looks as if those broadswords are being brought around. I'm not sure where they've been prioritised to. These battleships first of all. And it looks as if Fruity gearing up for another strategic bomber strike. He's got quite a number of them in the mix, and I believe that's Black Sun's commander. I don't know whether that was hit by the Mavor. I think it might have been. I don't know whether that was him leaving. It looks as if the Mavor shots were concentrating on his experimental. I think that was him leaving, which is a huge shame for Team 2. So we're now back down to an even 2 versus 2. But Corporation, losing my voice, it seems like he's going for 2 versus 1 shortly as he prioritised those strap bombers. Oh my goodness, Corporation literally hanging on at the front here, and those 2 megaliths has been just dispatched off at the front here. Two Mavors and a third in production from NK. I don't really see a way back in for Team 2 unless they can either break this front line from Corporation or get rid of the Mavors from NK at the back. Fruity holding fast on his base with some experimentals, but not a great deal of movement happening from Team 2 at the moment. Fortunately for them, the Mavor deciding that it's going to go for a Tech 3 mass fabricator at the back. Not really being prioritised particularly well by NK. A bit of a slow period in the game. Probably both teams trying to figure out how to break the deadlock. Team 1 blinking first, and certainly I probably can't remember how many megaliths it has been now. The carcasses of at least 2 of them being at the front here. And cruiser fire chasing down ASFs in the North Pond. Torpedo bombers being brought over here, probably not to much avail. Another Monkey Lord being brought up. And a double Mavor shots now going for the back of Fruity's base, probably trying to get rid of some of the power. And a single torpedo bomber managing to put a small dent in that battle cruiser from NK. And a bit of artillery fire actually coming out from a few Klinkhammers thinning out the AA, which is probably advisable as those
Strategic
experimentals are
launch
going to be
detected.
absolutely useless against all of those broadswords at the front. And 4, 5, 6. I'm not even sure what you'd call a 6 missile nuclear strike. I'm not going to call it. I don't know whether Corp's got enough at the front here to deflect that. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 all gone. And it looks as if Team 2 are greatly depending on nuclear weapons to win. This force having to be brought back, because with those bangers being taken and ripped apart, I think Fruity understands that if he goes forward, he's just going to give another mass gift to Corporation at the front there. Surprisingly, these cruisers are not being brought down to the side of Corporation's base. They'd be far more useful there, even if it was just for a harassment purpose. And is that a third Mavor? It is. 3 Mavors having been produced, and ASF's being streamed out of NK's base again. And it does look as if that anti-nuke at the front there has been taken out. Where is the second? Excuse my quick scrolling, but the second anti-nuke, I'm not entirely sure where it is, and that Mavor is ripping apart the front of Fruity's base. Oh, and I've missed at the top here. A very sneaky strategic bomber run. Is that going to connect enough with the first Mavor that was produced? It is, and a really sneaky run kills one of the Mavors. I didn't even see that coming when zoomed out. I don't know where the strategic bombers came from, but really
Strategic
good
launch
play
detected
from Fruity. My apologies if that's burning your ears at the moment. It looks as if Corporation's had enough of being defensive, but he doesn't
Strategic launch
have
detected.
much defense anymore, but he is bringing his broadswords
Strategic
forward,
launch
which may,
detected.
I don't know whether it be ill-advised. We do have a quad nuclear launch from the front here, being brought out from, I think that was Karamat's army, having been gifted from Gia. NK bringing his ASFs over. Oh, and more nuclear weapons being brought out, but again deflected. Corporation's anti-nuke. I'm just not sure how Corporation has sustained his economy to produce that many anti-nukes. But those broadswords
Strategic launch
sweeping
detected.
now up Fruity's base, and I cannot believe it may look as if that nuke is going to connect at the front there, pulling the broadswords away, and as quickly as Fruity made it, his base is now being stripped down. Karamat's desperately seeking a solution, upgrading air factories at the back. He's abandoned the Mayfor, sensing that he's probably not got the time to get it up. Is that Fruity's comm at the back there? It is. Fruity bringing his commander right to the back of the map. And is that nuclear weapon going for Karamat? I think Karamat still has his anti-nuke in the mix. Those broadswords finally being taken out. Yeah, that nuke not connecting. And it looks as if the cruisers, I don't know whether they've been brought back down here, interestingly, from Team 2. Oh, and kiss the Karamat! Oh my goodness me, just escaping death from the double Mavor fire. Luckily, not having another couple of shots connected. But I don't know whether NK's seen the commander there. He hasn't, he doesn't know he's there. So the Mavor's just connecting to anything that they fancy. Caravan's so close, and finally the cruiser's being brought back up to Corporation's base. They probably see this as a opportunity now to try and get rid, especially with these support commanders at the front here, get rid of Corporation at the front, but not enough cruisers firing to deplete the shields. Bring this up to +2 again, and this is going to be a race now to see who can kill who first, whether the Mavors are going to connect, and oh my goodness, huge holes being poked. Are the cruisers going to be enough? With the artillery as well, those clink hammers providing some sort of respite in terms of defence. Oh dear me, it's the first time I've done an epic, and it does look as though, oh my goodness, is that going to connect? Yes it does. Mass storage being hit, Fruity really not having a great deal left. And finally that cruiser find being brought in. It does look as if he's broken Corporation's front lines, finally prioritising the Quantum Gateway support commander going pop at the front there. I really don't want to miss.
Strategic launch detected.
Split screen to track the Mavor fire and the cruiser fire. Oh, and those cruisers, I don't know whether they're doing enough damage to Corporation's base to make a difference. The shields just keep popping up all over the place.
Strategic launch detected.
And a nuclear weapon going off here. Probably from NK. Oh no. I'm going to quickly have to go back to a single screen to track where that nuclear weapon is going to. Corporation now getting finally involved in the nuke game, having received so many, getting rid of the naval capacity here, probably to prevent more of these cruisers coming in. And I don't know whether Team 2 have enough in the bag. A
Strategic launch detected.
Having lost their naval player down here so early in the game. And a nuke there, killing off a huge chunk of Fruity's base. Not being able to track where those Mavor shots
Strategic launch detected.
Again, going for this energy storage, probably mass storage, my apologies. An NK hovering above these cruisers. Another nuke connecting to the bottom of Kara's base. And it looks as if a nuclear weapon hitting the megalith. I don't think I've ever seen so many nukes in a game as I have this one. And those Mavor shots have utterly decimated that base. I'm not sure whether NK is getting another one out using the reclaim from the dead one. Corporation having fended off wave after wave of nuclear weapons. Some brilliant effort from Team 2. Those Mavor shots hitting, unfortunately, don't work underwater, so I don't think that's quite going to work. Megalith being brought forward now, but with all of these broadswords in reserve, I don't think it's going to make much of a difference. Surely Fruity's last stand.
Strategic launch detected.
Torpedo boats getting rid of some of these naval sort of anti-torpedo tubes at the bottom here. And another nuke out from NK, going to speed it up to +3 now. Let's see where that nuclear weapon is actually deciding to go. We do have a little stream of ASFs coming out from. I'm not sure what that was at the bottom. Fruity robot that was throwing in the towel, deciding that he doesn't want to stay. I don't blame him. He didn't really have anything left at that point in the game, having had the broadswords run over his base. Oh, and a nuclear weapon just missing Karamat. And a huge hole now with the exit of Fruity robot. And a few shots now hitting the front of Karamat's base. Looks as if with the triple Mavor at one point in the game and the nuke defense corporation at the front here. Looks as if this is all but a matter of time now until Karamat is pushed out of the game. His commander just sitting in the pond. A small amount of ASF production
Strategic launch
here, but
detected.
it's not going to make much of a difference. I don't know whether Team 1 are able to see. They aren't at the moment. Oh! ASF's just missing Karamat's commander. That nuclear weapon looking as if it's going to connect to quite literally the last production facility Karamat does. Yes, it is. Now, only a small amount of Tech 3 engineering stations, Tech 3 engineers and shields left. With the Mavor sort of polishing off the remnants of what was fat boys being filtered up the top here. Corporation seeing finally the middle of that land bridge for the first time in about an hour. And if I bring this game up to +5, just hails of Mavor fire polishing off what was Karamat's base. I think Karamat has resigned himself to the fact that he has already lost, and a Continental from Corporation. I'm not too sure what he's going to be doing with those support command units. Broadswords being brought in to sweep as well. Get rid of the
Strategic launch detected.
And a simultaneous nuclear launch. I don't know whether they have seen where the commander is. Yes, they have, right in the back pond. And I think that's going to be a good game. Yep, I'm almost certain it will be. And it does look as if Corporation's going to get the final blow. And out Karamat goes at 1 minute and 20. And that is a good game from both teams, well played from Team 1, hanging into the very last minutes. And that is it from me. Good game, see you next time.